Hi, Paulie. Yeah, lovely to be here. Thanks very much for having me.
So on the night of the Page Turner Awards ceremony in 2021 in October last year, we had Paul Michael Glaser with us. We were delighted to have him from Starsky and Hutch, and he announced you as, first of all, the TV series winner of the Screenplay Award, and then as the overall winner. So let's just remind ourselves what happened.
The Screenplay Award, a TV series, something I know a little about, and the overall winner of the Screenplay Award category goes to Jonny King for his script, Gifted.
Johnny?
He's at the fair.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny's at the fair.
Sorry, couldn't work my computer.
Hi, Johnny.
Hi, you're right.
Tell us, how do you feel?
Surprised. It was a good job I couldn't find the mute button for a while there. Wow. Not sure what to say. Thank you so much. That's what an honour and what a massive surprise. That's I wasn't expecting that at all. Thank you so much. Cheers.
So, Johnny, tell us, how did you feel? I mean, here you were, Starsky and Hutch, everybody's, hero. We all grew up with his childhood hero, Starsky and Hutch, and here's Paul Michael Glaser, and he's actually saying to you, you've won the TV series, and then you've won the overall award. How did you feel? Tell us how you felt.
It's kind of hard to describe. It's very surreal, really surreal, and it didn't sink in for a little while. I kind of just froze on the spot, and then because obviously I was on mute, it was all over Zoom, and then it took me quite a long time to find the unmute button so I could actually respond. Hence the delay. And then I feel bad because I kind of froze a bit. I couldn't articulate my thoughts, which is probably why I'm a writer rather than a public speaker. It was a bit of a weird acceptance speech, so I'm sorry about that. But
no, it was perfectly understandable. You could see that you were overwhelmed with emotion and shock, which is lovely because it's nice to see people's first reactions rather than, oh yeah, I knew about this earlier. So that was nice.
Yeah, you enter these competitions and you do it more out of hope than expectation, and so I never expected to hear my name get read out, and when I did, I kind of froze a bit, but it in a weird way, I think it kind of took about 24 hours for it to really. I think I woke up the next day and kind of just lay awake in bed, just kind of processing it all, and it kind of sunk in then almost. I know that's a bit odd, but
and when it sunk in, how did you feel? I mean, did you kind of feel, gee, that my writing, I'm able to win an international writing contest, and I'm able to have somebody like Paul Michael Glaser giving me, and it was a red carpet moment for all of the winners. So I mean, was it like still total shock, or did you kind of think, well, yeah, I've worked hard, I've done my time, kind of thing, and putting the time into my writing, so now it's kind of paying off? How did that, when it kind of started registering with you, how did that sort of start feeling?
Still quite a lot of shock, to be honest. I wonder if it might have been some sort of mistake, but apparently it wasn't, and I'm delighted about that. And then it was just excitement, really, the excitement of what this could lead to, and where Sean could take this project to with his connections and stuff. And after the initial shock, it was kind of just gradually building excitement the more I thought about it and what it could lead to, and being able to say, when you're pitching the project to production companies, being able to say, well, it won, this competition, it won this award. It's such a help to make yours stand out, because obviously they're getting pitched so many projects every day, and so to be able to make yours stand out a little bit by attaching a competition win to it is so important, I think.
Yeah. Johnny, just while you're on the note of Sean, let's just quickly have a look again at last year at what Sean had to say. And Sean Dubravak is from Entertainment Lab. Sean he was one of our judges. He looked at the script. He read all the scripts. He requested quite a few, and he immediately came back to me and he said to me, I want Jonny's script, I want Gifted. And already I had read it and a lot of other people have read it and I was very excited about it. I think I had been communicating to you that I was excited about it. And when Sean came back to me and said he's got to, he's got to read the whole script, he's really keen and he wanted to get in touch with you. So let's just quickly cut to what Sean had to say about your script, Gifted.
Oh, Gifted was really, really smart. It was just so well written. It's like, when I read scripts, I almost always want someone smarter than me to take me for a ride. Because if I notice that the writer isn't as intelligent or isn't as sophisticated or whatever, if the writer isn't as good of a leader for me as the reader of the script, then I'm kind of like not following that story. But in this case, Jonny was so good, and he just took me for a ride. And there was actually a coincidence that happened that I didn't tell you about. I wanted to sign another one of Jonny's scripts like 2-3 months earlier from another contest. And he told me, oh, sorry, Sean, this one's already optioned. And then at your contest, I also liked his script, did not know that it was him, had no idea, that it was the same writer. And again, I chose his script again. So I chose his script twice in 2 different contests.
It had to happen. It was just on the cards.
Yeah. So thank you for delivering great writers to my attention and letting me read them.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and good luck to the two of you going forward. I hope it really works out for you both. Congratulations.
Okay, so there you go. There you have Sean saying what he said. There he was explaining what what made him fall in love with the script, why he loved it. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more, Jonny, about what's happened since, because that was in October last year. We're now in April 2022. You've had a good few months to work with Sean, and you mentioned a few minutes ago that you're kind of starting to put it out to studios and having won the award, and especially having that kind of kudos of having won an award. Now you're really able to put it in front of guys, and hopefully they are looking at your work before all of the other work in their query. So maybe you can just give us a little idea of where it started, how you and Sean first started working together, and then what happened after that. Did you have to do more rewrites on the script? That's what I've had quite a few people asking that question. Did you have to do more rewrites, or are you kind of just working with Jonny just to try and get it into production stage, and then maybe the producers would work with you on rewrites? How is all of that happening?
Yeah, there wasn't really a big rewrite of the script. Sean was generally happy with it. There was he had a few notes, and so it kind of did another draft of it, but it wasn't a kind of an extensive rewrite. It's more tweaking. And then the next step was to create a pitch deck, and that we spent more time on that creating. So I'd sort of do a draft, send it off to him, and he'd send back notes, and I'd have another stab at that, and that took a couple of drafts off the top of my head to kind of get it to the point where we wanted it. And so since then, so that kind of took about a month or so to get to that point, and then since then he's been pitching it to firstly to some actors and actresses to try and get names attached, and then onto production companies. And as you say, Sean's got great number of contacts, so we've been able to get the script off to and the pitch deck off to some huge names. I've been really surprised by some of the places he's been able to get it off to, and yeah, as you said, Warner Brothers, Jim Henson Company, BBC, Channel 4, I think Paramount, loads, and he's always kept me updated.
Must be a really weird feeling that this is really and truly happening to you.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane to me that people at the BBC and Warner Brothers are reading my script. It's because I'm quite a new writer, and because I'm kind of still really like learning as I'm going along how to do this. It's I feel like shouldn't be at that stage. I should still be kind of working on scripts and trying to do it correctly. So to be at this point already is really exciting. And and yeah, hopefully, you know, we've had, so he'll pitch the project to a production company, and it's up to them if they then want to see the pitch deck or the script, and quite a few have asked to see it. So now we're at a point where we're just kind of waiting back to hear back from people. So
tell us about, you've got an actress. You were saying earlier Sean was trying to get actors involved. I think that's a very big thing, because if a studio sees that somebody's really keen to be in the script and to be part of the script and to play a character, that's a great thing. How is that? What news have you got on that? Yeah,
so Sean asked me to kind of compile sort of like a wish list, if you like, of names that could be attached to various parts, and so one of the parts I suggested a British actress called Jane Asher, who she's been in various things, probably most famously going back a little while, but The Mask of the Red Death with alongside Vincent Price. So I suggested her, and again, it's kind of more in hope than expectation. I thought it was more of that, well, here's some people that would be right, but if you can't get them, maybe someone similar. I didn't think for any minute that actually someone like Jane Asher would actually read the script, like it, and say, yes, this is something I'd like to work on. So again, more surreal moments, and it was great to hear back from him that she really liked the script. And
it must have been like, whoa, must have been so exciting.
yeah, it's again, I keep expecting kind of reality to kick in and the bubble to burst, but it's going really well, and you know, with a name attached, you know, hopefully that will again help when it comes to pitching to production companies.
Yeah, and you say, because you're the winner of Page Turner Awards, and not just the TV series winner, but also the overall screenplay winner, that is definitely helping you to really get into some big names and really push the script out into big production companies.
Yeah, I hope so. It certainly, you know, seems to be helping. And you know, there's a lot of companies are asking to see it. I was expecting that Sean would have to pitch to, you know, say 24 production companies, and out of them maybe 5 or 6 will say, yeah, we'll take a look. But actually, generally speaking, there's very few companies that have passed from the word go.
That's great.
And I think that's, a lot of that is down to kind of having actors attached, having competition wins attached, and also just having Sean attached to it as well. And obviously,
and did Sean get the actress attached before he started pitching? Was that kind of his plan?
Yes, I think that was first. There might have been a slight overlap, but I think generally speaking, Jane was attached first. Yeah.
Okay. And you were talking about a pitch deck. So I've had a lot of people, screenwriters who were sort of involved in last year, and they've asked a lot about this. What was the process? So you were saying you've got a pitch deck. So tell us about the pitch deck, kind of what was involved in putting that together, and kind of you gave Sean asked you for some ideas. You, between the two of you, put some ideas together and then kind of put your pitch deck. So kind of give us a little bit of idea about what your pitch deck is, and kind of, you know, what it looks like.
Yeah, so I've seen sort of different, if you kind of can Google them, and you get different examples, some that are quite long and some that are quite brief. So I kept it fairly simple, just basically kind of talked about the premise and why I'd written this project, an episode guide. It's only a 6-parter, so didn't take long, and included some kind of pictures to get an idea of what I thought the characters might look like, and tried to make it stand out as well, because I've read a bit about trying to make your pitch deck look interesting. So because it's set in a school, I tried to make it look a bit like a school prospectus.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and the best probably one I've seen that's readily available online is the pitch deck for Stranger Things.
Oh yes, I saw that one. I like that one too.
Yeah, and it's really well put out. I mean, I couldn't make something like that myself. I did my best, but that's a really well written one, and a really well designed one as well. It's really eye catching.
Yeah. And have you, just while we're on this, the school idea, have you got any or bites or any sort of ideas of who you'd like to play your main child character?
Oh, for the child? No, I haven't, because it's kind of more of a minor character. So I thought when Sean asked me about what acts I had in mind for the main roles, I looked at kind of the three key roles, and so I think for whatever child would get brought in to play that role, I don't think it'd be anyone well known, so it'd be an unknown, a first timer probably.
Yeah, and obviously the production company would probably go with that. And so you've put your pitch deck together, and between you and Sean, the pitch deck would go with the script to the production companies. One of the questions a lot of people are asking is, did you have to write a full series, like maybe 8 or 12 episodes, or did you just write 1 or 2 and then you've had to write more? When you first entered the awards, what stage were you at? Did you have the whole thing and you were able to present that, or have you been writing like crazy since then to finish it up?
So in terms of when you send the materials off to the production companies, it's just a pilot and the pitch deck. You don't need to write episodes 2 and 3, etc., because they might not want it, and then you've wasted your time doing that. And I think a pilot is, as I understand it, they're happy to just take a pilot and make a decision on that. Obviously, you can set out your vision for the overall series and for the later episodes in your pitch deck, so you can just do that over the course of a page without having to write a whole 30-page script or anything like that.
Yeah, you can just summarize what each episode would be.
Yeah.
And have you actually written it, or the rest of it, or you've just written the pilot?
No, just the pilot at this stage. And then because who knows if it hopefully does get picked up by someone, they might want to change a lot of it and take it off in different directions. So it probably wouldn't be the best move at this point to write the entire series, because it probably end up getting completely changed.
Yeah, so that's one of the other questions I've had is, how do you stop, or how do you prevent the studio from taking over your script? And even if they've bought it from you and they take over and use their own writers to finish it up or to polish the script, is there any control that you can have? And if so, what kind of control? Have you and Sean kind of discussed that? Will you, if it comes to that point, will you just have to sell the script to them and the idea and you become the creator? Or is there a way that you can ensure that when the production company buys the script, to ensure that you carry on with it because it's your idea, it's your, that you created everything, and it all comes from your mind? Is there a way that you can carry on with that? I think a lot of people are asking that, because it's kind of, they would want to know how they could go with their own script if that was the case.
Yeah, it was a great question, and I couldn't really say because I've not kind of reached that stage, and not been in that position. If it, hopefully if someone does take it on, that I think, that is a risk. And you hear about writers who sell a project to a production company and then end up being not involved in it anymore, and they bring in their own writers. And I don't know if there is a whole lot there to kind of stop that from happening. Once they've bought the project off you, it's theirs, and they can kind of play around with it as they see fit. So I think that is probably a bit of an occupational hazard, really. And what I've learned from, other projects that have gone into development elsewhere is that, it will get rewritten a lot. It will get changed a lot, and you will get a lot of notes. And sometimes that can kind of be a bit tough, and you can find that process a bit difficult. Even though it's what you want, even though you want to get your project developed, sometimes the development process can be a bit tough. And that's where you've kind of got you kind of have to suck it up and just get on with it and do what you got to do. Obviously, if you think this isn't the direction I want to go and I feel really strongly about it, then you've got to talk to them about it and maybe even walk away. But if not, then you've kind of just got to trust the process, really.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's what you want. You want your story to see the light of day. And if in order to see the light of day, some kind of process has to happen. And as you say, you either comfortable with it and roll with it, or you're not comfortable, but you've got Sean there, and you've got somebody you can trust to work with you and to, to try and sort of carry on. I've got a question. How do you stop someone stealing your work? Because Hollywood is known to be, to have no scruples. And what do you suggest? That's a difficult one, because you're not kind of in that situation where you kind of won, an agent, a literary manager, to take your work to studios. Whereas I think this kind of question is coming from writers who are in the process of they wanting to go out and they wanting to pitch it, whereas Sean is pitching it for you. So have you got any information or any suggestions on that, or not?
I mean, I don't really have any experience of Hollywood beyond dealing with Sean. Being a British-based writer, I mean, I know it's something that gets talked a lot about, the risk of ideas being stolen, and generally speaking from the British industry, as I understand it, it's almost unheard of. I mean, I went to a talk by Amara Sante, who wrote the screenplay. Well, she directed Belle and wrote the screenplay, only to then lose her screenwriting credit due to an argument over who wrote the original script. So that is an example of someone kind of getting their fingers burnt. But even she said, even after all that, she still didn't think it was a problem in the British industry, and that idea theft doesn't really go on because it's such a small pond and all the fish talk. So and reputation is so important. I think anyone risking idea theft would just be destroying their career in the process. In terms of America, I couldn't really say. There's obviously steps writers can take to protect their work. I mean, when I had a film script that has been optioned, and before it got optioned, I registered it with the Writers Guild of America, and that cost, I think, $10. And that's one easy way of just sort of giving yourself a bit of cover.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. Yeah. Jonny, just another question is, a lot of writers want to know, if you have an agent, does that agent just try and sell the work that you've got? So you've got your screenplay gifted, you've probably got lots of other work. Are they just trying to sell that work, or are they also trying to get you paid work?
So I don't actually have an agent. I'm unrepresented in that sense. And so Sean's a manager, and he's representing Gifted as a project rather than has taken me on as an overall client, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And in America, you have a manager and an agent, whereas in Britain, an agent will do both roles.
Okay.
So as I understand it, an agent will try and get your work in front of people, your existing work in front of people. In terms of finding you work, from what I understand from like listening to talks by agents and stuff, I think less of that, certainly in Britain anyway, because there aren't really such things as writers' rooms in Britain. So there's less scope for them to find you work. Possibly in America, maybe there's more of that. So maybe agents can kind of actively find you work.
Yeah, and maybe there's a chance if some of these studios hear about you and like your work and see, the talent that you've got for putting, words down and creating a story, in a script format, maybe somebody would come forward and say, well, we've got some other project we would possibly like to work with you. So if that happens, then obviously that's all good for you. Yeah,
as I understand it, it's as much networking as anything else. And a bit of sort of serendipity being involved in terms of, in terms of being noticed by the right people. And an agent can do some of that, but they can only do so much. And they like, from what I understand, agents keep saying they like to see writers who are proactive and will actually go out and kind of almost prove they don't need an agent, find that will work for themselves.
Yeah. So, Jonny, what is in store for you over the next few months, the rest of the year, and the future? Where are you going? What's sort of happening with your career? What do you think that you're aiming to do, or your plans?
Well, I've got a feature under option at the moment, so I'm just about to start a rewrite of that. We're at a point where we're applying for funding now. We've got a director and producer on board. Just need some money. So if anyone watching this has got some spare million quid,
give Jonny the money.
So we've pitched it to some people, and they've given us their feedback. So now it's putting that into the rewrite, and hopefully someone's going to write us a check for that.
Is that also a comedy?
Yes, yeah, comedy as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Then waiting to hear back from people with Gifted, and I'm just outlining my next feature now. So that's that. The next job after that is to start writing the first draft of that.
Okay.
So, yeah, busy year.
And so it's all screenwriting. Have you thought of writing any other formats, or is it just screenwriting for you? Because some writers can tap into various different formats, or is it just your love is just screenwriting?
I think it's screenwriting. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, I'd never say no to trying other mediums and stuff. But I think for the time being, especially, I mean, one of my goals for this year is to try and get an agent. So I need to kind of really focus on my screenwriting, develop a stronger portfolio, so that hopefully by the end of the year I can start approaching agents.
And by approaching agents, obviously having, the kudos of having won Page Turner Awards for both the TV series as well as the overall Screenplay Award, and having Sean, working with you to pitch this, I'm sure that would really, do a lot for your career and do a lot for getting yourself an agent. Yeah,
hopefully. It's hard. It is hard to get an agent in the UK. So anything that can make you stand out is always going to be really helpful. So yeah, being able to sort of mention Page Turner, being able to mention Sean, that will hopefully stand me in good stead. Yeah.
And is it that kind of agent? Is it a literary agent, or is it a specifically, an agent that just handles film, or what kind of agent would that be?
There's sort of different types. I mean, there's literary agencies that will cover writers who do, novelists and screenwriters and playwrights. And then I think there are some agencies that specifically deal with screenwriters. So it's just a case of doing a bit of research and seeing who's out there that I think might be a good fit for me, and then seeing if they're looking to take on new clients. So it's going through that pitching process again. And is Sean not able to help you with that kind of thing? I think he has. And when in one of our early meetings, he talked about, there is a good chance that it might get an agent out of it. But I'm not going to wait around to wait for an agent to come to me, because it might never happen. So I'm going to sort of be proactive about that and start looking for myself. And if that doesn't lead to anything, and meanwhile Sean finds someone, brings them in, then definitely have a meeting with them and see if it's a match. Yeah. And just to sort of wrap up, Jonny, you've had a fantastic few months, really, really exciting. So many things, so, as you were saying, so surreal, so many unbelievable things happening to you. What, any screenwriters, because we'll put this out to all of our writers, for all the writers out there listening to you, what would you say to them? Some writers might be thinking, oh, I'll never, ever get there. I'll never get there. Or otherwise they'll be saying, well, I've been trying and trying for years, and I just don't know where to go. I don't know what to do with my writing. Kind of, as a sort of a snapshot or a summary, what would you say to them? Do this or do that. What are your sort of, and what's your advice to anybody listening? I mean, I don't think it's anything that's not been said before, but I think persistence is vital, because to get to this point, I've gone through a lot of rejections and disappointments, and some of them have hit really hard. And I mean, I can think back, sort of a couple of years ago, I was at a really low ebb with it, but I kept going, and eventually it started to sort of get a bit of traction. So fighting through the dark times, it's so important. And taking the rejections on the chin. It's not, I still get rejections now, and they still hurt. It always hurts, but it's a very personal thing. Yeah, it can be. Yeah. But you just got to sort of take half an hour to feel sorry for yourself, and then get back on with it. Yeah. I've met so many good writers along the way who were better than me, but they gave up because they sort of didn't want to go through that process anymore, which is their choice. But I felt bad for them, because they were talented, they were good writers. and the only reason I'm here talking to you now is because I didn't give up. And in terms of, you know, I wasn't brilliant at school. I didn't do, you know, didn't go to university or anything like that. I just sort of got the bug for screenwriting and taught myself reading books. So if I can do it, you know, anyone can really.
That's lovely, Jonny. That's really lovely. That's very encouraging, very motivating, and inspiring for, you know, for screenwriters to know that, you know, no matter what, if you persist, if you really believe in what you're doing, which is coming out of you, if you really believe in what you're doing, you can get there. You know, you just got to hang in there and stay the game, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. It's, you know, I can't promise anything, but I think just you're giving yourself such a good chance if you keep going and keep writing. And if one script doesn't work out, then write another and keep trying to improve with every script you write. And hopefully, you know, eventually it's not something that happens overnight, but over time you can get there. The only other advice I'd give based on experience is, I've seen a lot of writers on social media disparaging competitions, saying competitions don't help writers. The two projects I've got into development, Gifted and the feature, have both come from competition wins. So it's not true to say that competitions don't help writers. Obviously, there's loads of bad competitions out there, and you've got to do your research. But the good ones are absolutely worth entering, and I would thoroughly recommend doing that. It's a great way to get noticed if you haven't got an agent, haven't got a manager, and you know, don't have industry contacts, which was the position I was in. It's a great way to get noticed. Yeah,
that's very important. Jonny, that's what you were just saying a minute ago about the what you were saying about the contest is very, very true, because a lot of contests, you know, that's why if people do their research and if they really look into the contests, and if everything on the contest is visible, which is what, you know, what we do with Page Turner Awards, we try and, you know, we make sure everything is transparent. This is who's judging it. This is who will read your script. These are film producers. These are screenwriters. These are literary agents or publishers or whoever's involved. This is their bio. This is their experience. And if the competitions and contests out there make it as transparent as possible, then you know, writers can actually see if this is a really good way to introduce their work to you know, to this industry. And as you were saying, if you don't have contacts, how else are you going to do it? You either just pitch direct, and then you stand the chance of, you know, what happens to your script, you just kind of goes into ether and you don't know where it is. Or otherwise you get to know that, you know, it might have got somewhere in a contest, or even if it doesn't, just keep trying, as you were saying as well. So keep persisting. So lovely. Any other thing you'd like to say, Jonny?
Well, only other than you know, thank you so much again for, you know, to Page Turner, because you know, it is life changing. It really is life changing, and it's great to be able to talk to you sort of and say thank you for everything you've done, because I really appreciate it, and it's all really exciting, and hopefully there's more exciting stuff to come as well.
Thank you very much, Jonny. It's been for Ken and I and the Page Turner Awards team, it's been very exciting watching your journey and kind of being along with you, even though we're not really along with you, because there's so much happening that we kind of getting to hear about. But it's very exciting for us to know that, you know, you were there and this is what's happened to you. And in future, when anything else happens, whatever that is, we you know, we completely support you, and we're very excited that, you know, something is happening with your career. And as you say, that, you know, if we've done a little bit to help towards that life-changing moment, for us, that's the big thing. You know, from the time that people start entering the awards in the beginning of the year up until kind of now, another month's time, it's all just the normal stuff. They're entering. But in about a month's time, we'll start seeing you know, the judging start happening, and the judges will start saying, like what happened last year with you, Sean, immediately said, I've got to see the script, I've got to speak to this guy. All that kind of stuff is so exciting for us, and we really get off on it. We really just get so excited about it when, you know, when agents write and say, I want to see the book, even if whether it's a script or a book, even if they don't take it all the way through, even if they just want to see it. It means that there's one little step forward to somebody being discovered, or some career changing, or somebody's life changing. So that's very exciting for us. So yeah, it's gonna be another exciting year. But thank you very much for joining for me today, Jonny. And it's been a wonderful journey watching you, and we're going to carry on watching you and carrying on supporting you. And please make sure you always tell us the news, and we'll always share it with our writers, because everybody's very excited for you.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll definitely let you know if there's any developments. And thanks again for everything, and thanks for having me on today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jonny. See you.
Thank you.